Never thought a single letter could flip your whole world upside down? Let me tell you, I was there the Tuesday morning it happened, and no warning in the universe could have prepared me for how fast things unraveled after that envelope landed in my dad's hands. He came home late, still smelling like sweat and steel from his second job, with his plain white envelope gripped so tight his knuckles were bone white. I swear, for a second, he looked at it the way a man looks at a live grenade, not sure whether to run or risk it. He opened it slow, careful like something inside might bite. The letterhead screamed, law firm, official, cold, just the right amount of threatening. When he started reading, he froze up, eyes wide like he'd seen a ghost. 800 acres, he whispered, voice dry as old paper. Not just some patch of dirt behind a gas station, either. We're talking a hidden kingdom. Forest so thick you can get lost in your own thoughts, a private lake gleaming like a secret, and some crusty old cabin left to us by a relative so distant, Dad had to squint to remember the name. We figured at first it had to be a mistake. Nobody in our family inherits land. We inherit bills. But the paperwork checked out. There was in black and white. Every acre, every pine, every inch of that lake ours. I watched Dad's face change. Hope, shock, then that shy kind of happiness that makes a grown man look years younger, almost like he's remembering how to dream. All those years in tiny apartments, eating dinner standing up, working overtime just to stay afloat. Now he's got an empire dropped in his lap. It felt too big to be real. That whole morning we sat hunched over the kitchen table, passing the documents back and forth, tracing the property lines, picturing what it'd be like to actually walk those woods. Dad kept saying, "Can you believe this? Can you believe this?" Like if he stopped, he'd wake up. For hours we planned how he'd fish that lake at sunrise, build a dock, maybe plant some trees, even cut a trail through the wildflowers. It was the first time in a decade I saw him look truly free. But underneath the excitement, this little voice in my head started asking questions, the kind you don't want to say out loud. What if something goes wrong? What if this gift is a trap? No one just hands you a paradise and walks away. I watched Dad push those doubts aside. He was already drawing up plans, mapping out adventures, thinking about how we'd finally have a place of our own. That night, he barely slept, whispering to himself about the future like it was a friend he hadn't seen in years. We couldn't wait, packed the car, loaded up whatever we had, and hit the road toward our inheritance. The dirt road twisted through the trees, sunlight flashing in and out, the forest closing in on all sides. And then the lake, bigger and brighter than I dared hope. Dad's face, lit up, made me wish I could bottle that joy and save it for the bad days. We stepped out, breathing in air that smelled like green and possibility. Didn't take long for reality to show up, though, in the form of a slick black SUV, rolling in like the cavalry. Two guys in suits hopped out, all business. One flipped open a clipboard. "Sir, I'm with the local homeowners association. You're trespassing. Please leave the property or we'll pursue legal action." The words hit Dad like a slap. He stammered, "This is my land, inherited. Look, I have the documents," but they barely glanced at them. Ownership doesn't override HOA regulations. "No permits, no access," the guy replied, not even blinking. I saw Dad's hand shake, not from fear, but pure rage. Years of working, sacrificing, dreaming, and now a faceless organization telling him he couldn't even step foot on the land with his name on the deed. The suits laid out their threats, then drove off, dust swirling in their wake, leaving us speechless on the shore. For a minute, it was like the air itself turned heavy. The land felt different, almost wounded. Dad paced, muttering about loopholes and fighting back, already scanning the paperwork for some way in. That stubborn fire in his eyes was burning hotter than ever. The more the HOA tried to squeeze us out, the more determined he became. Back in our temporary cabin, he spent the evening tracing old maps, figuring out every possible path forward. Night fell with a rumble. Thunder rolled over the trees, and rain slammed against the roof, the whole world shaking like it wanted in. But Dad wasn't cowed. He grabbed a lantern and marched into the storm, shouting back that he needed to feel the land. I watched the glow of that lantern bob through the trees, my heart pounding somewhere between fear and awe. The lake, even in the storm, looked like a dream, lightning flashes turning the water silver, rain pouring down, wind howling through the branches. Dad just stood there, arms out, soaked and shivering, but with a look on his face that was part challenge, part prayer. That's when the taps in the cabin, old, rusty things, started groaning and rattling, then burst to life, water gushing everywhere. Pipes screamed, water shot down toward the lake, and Dad, slipping in the mud, started laughing. Real, wild laughter, the kind that comes from finally letting go. It felt like the land itself was waking up, rejecting the rules, fighting back. The storm raged all night, but Dad stayed out there, staring at the lake, daring it to deny him. When he finally came in, dripping wet, he was shivering but grinning, convinced the land had just passed its first test. They can write their rules, he said, but this place knows who it belongs to. By dawn, everything had changed. The storm had washed the world clean. Sunrise painting gold across the lake, air sharp and new. Dad sat on the porch, coffee steaming in his hands, staring out at the water like he was trying to memorize every ripple. That's when the neighbor called, voice frantic. Every tap on your property's dead. Plumbers can't explain it. Pipes are fine, but no water flows. HOA's panicking. Dad just smiled slow and sly. Maybe the land's choosing sides, he said. That was the moment I started to believe him. Walking the trails, feeling the sun on my face, it was like the land was welcoming us, or at least refusing to bow to anyone else. The news spread, whispers of cursed taps and haunted property echoing through the local grapevine. But Dad didn't care. He took me down to the lake, taught me to fish, showed me where the big ones hid in the shadows, all the while nodding to himself like he finally understood the punchline to a joke the world had been telling him for years. The HOA sent more letters, more threats, more reminders that the rules were the rules. But nothing worked. Their inspections were stalled by missing paperwork, their plumbers baffled, their permits lost in the mail. Meanwhile, for us, every day on the property felt more like a blessing. Trees humming in the breeze, water sparkling, the cabin creaking with secrets. Dad fixed what needed fixing, left the pipes alone, they know who they serve, he joked, and made rituals out of walking the boundaries, kneeling at the lake, whispering thanks to the trees. People started watching our story online. Thousands tuned in, not for drama or spectacle, but because they sensed the truth. This wasn't just a battle with a homeowners association. It was about something deeper. Legacy, respect, the bond between people and land that can't be measured in legal documents or stamped out by bureaucracy. Some said the place was haunted, some said it was enchanted, but all agreed something was happening out there. Every sunrise brought new discoveries, hidden clearings, wildflowers, rocks carved with old initials. Dad built a little tree house for the grandkids he hoped would come one day, and every nail he drove, he said, was with the land's permission. Over time, even the neighbors started to leave us alone, admitting privately that there was something special about the place, something sacred you just didn't mess with. Still, life wasn't easy. 800 acres is a monster to care for. After storms, we'd find trees down, trails flooded, wildlife claiming what it pleased. But every challenge only made us love the place more. Dad said the hard work was the price of admission. Some things you don't earn with money, he'd tell me. You earn them with sweat, respect, and stubbornness. The moral, if there's one, snuck up on me slow, like everything worth learning. That property wasn't about what we owned. It was about who we became, standing up for what mattered, learning that sometimes the land you think you inherit is actually choosing you. The rules, the threats, the outsiders, they never stood chance. When you're in the right and you treat something or someone with true respect, there's a power in that, a force that can't be put into words or controlled by paperwork. Looking back, I get why Dad wouldn't let go. This wasn't just about winning some argument with the HOA. It was about protecting something timeless, about making peace with the world in a place that felt like it had been waiting for us all along. In the end, the land itself stood up, sided with us, and made sure no one could take away what was truly ours. Now, tell me this. When does a rule cross the line from order to oppression? When does protecting what's yours become defiance, or maybe even duty? Drop your thoughts below, and if you've ever battled for something you believed was yours, share your story. Because sometimes the world needs a little reminder that justice, like land, can't always be fenced in.